I just reread Dan Martell's book, Buyback Your Time. It's a great book. I've read it a few times, and I realized that this book was written before AI. And now a lot of these ideas, they need an upgrade. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 big ideas from this book and show you what they look like when you are building with AI instead of just hiring people. Because now, instead of just buying back your time, we can actually build back our time. But first, let me give you a little bit of context in a short story. So I used to be a former certified financial planner, and in 2019, I quit that career to go online and be a coach, a money coach. And, I struggled for a little while, as you do, but eventually got some momentum, built a 6-figure business, and then came across Dan Martell's content. I realized he actually lives in Kelowna, and every Tuesday you can go for hikes with him on something that he runs called the Founders Hike. So I was able to do that, met him, joined his program, Elite. I was in there for a year, and the application of the ideas that he coaches and also the standards that he has, we were able to grow our business from 6 figures, like $150,000, all the way up to $750,000 in a year. And that was a result of applying these ideas. Sounds really great, but if you really looked under the hood, it wasn't that impressive. We had a team of 5, we had a lot of expenses, we spent a lot of money on ads, way too much money on ads. We would run retreats, and those were not really that profitable. And so it was enough to, have a lifestyle, pay myself well, but there was very little left over, very little profit. And so, I really had to look at that business model, and I could see I lacked some skills. And I could also just see that AI was coming. AI was already here. And I had to make some big changes and some big shifts. And so in November of last year, we let go of everybody, in part because AI was coming and in part because it really wasn't a profitable model. And so basically burned everything down to rebuild with the idea of we're building AI first. And I've been deep in that process for the last 6 months. And it's been great. And also kind of hard. I had to invest thousands of dollars and tons of time. I had to make hard decisions in order to create enough space to actually learn how to do this, understand this new language, and build from here. And so in this video, I just want to share that to give you some context, because this is what I have been playing with for the last 6 months, and I by no means have it all figured out, but I am starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel where it's like, oh man, you can really build a single person, 7-figure, probably 8-figure, maybe even more, bigger businesses by really understanding and leveraging AI. And I think there's like first principles that don't change, and there's a lot of that inside of this book. But then how do you apply it into an AI world? And that's what I want to share here, is these 5 ideas. So I have these 5 ideas on this document right here. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to draw some stuff. And if you'd like a copy of this document, just comment "build" underneath this video and I will send it over. So the first big idea that Dan talks about is the buyback rate. And really this is just looking at the tasks that you do and outsourcing the tasks that are well below your hourly rate. And so what that looks like is if you add up all of your income, what do you get paid? Let's say it's $100,000. You divide that by 2,000, and that will give you your effective hourly rate. And then if you were to divide that by 4, you would get your buyback rate, meaning what are the tasks that you could pay somebody $12.50 an hour to do so that you don't have to do that anymore, and you can now have that time to spend doing higher leverage tasks. All right. Now, this is cool. I mean, this is great. This was like a big idea for me. This is what helped me to hire my first executive assistants and got so much time back. But now, if you apply this with AI, like a lot of the tasks that a normal executive assistant can do can fully be outsourced and done by AI. And so, maybe $0 an hour, but maybe let's look at it this way, $200 a month for a max plan with Claude. And now with Claude, I mean, you can do cron jobs, you can do routines, And so every morning, for example, I have an email that comes from my AI executive assistant, and it goes through all of my calls from the other day. It looks at my calendar. It looks at my competitors. It gives me content ideas. It looks through all of my messages in school, and that comes every morning, right? And so, this is actually far, far less. And so instead of actually buying back your time, the same principle applies. You got to look at what are the tasks that you are doing, but now it's what are the tasks that you are doing that you could have AI do. And effectively the buyback rate is almost zero in a lot of cases. All right. So that's big idea number one. And idea number two is the replacement ladder. And basically this concept was pretty eye-opening and just like simple, but really clear that when you're building a business, these are the different roles that you would need to fill. And in the beginning, guess what? You're doing all of these. And that's why it feels like you have no time. And a lot of times people burn out. It's because they're trying to do everything. But there is an order to this, and there's an order of hiring. But what we're going to see in this section is a lot of these can be replaced by AI. And so you don't necessarily need to hire. You can just build. And so in order, the first replacement, the first rung on the ladder, is your administration. And if you are doing all of the admin stuff, and that's not your zone of genius, that's not what your people are ultimately paying for you, you're going to feel very stuck. And that's going to be a huge bottleneck and constraint. And then the next rung on that ladder, where the constraint typically happens, is delivery, right? You're making sales, you're working with people, and you start coaching or helping or providing your service, and then you don't have enough time to deliver and to market and sell your business. And so you have to find a way to have more leveraged delivery. And that typically look like hiring people, but also creating assets to support your delivery, right? And then you can unlock that bottleneck and that constraint. And if you do that, then you would find that the next constraint that takes up a lot of your time is actually your marketing. There's a lot that goes into marketing. And so at this point, you can either continue to do it yourself, or you would hire somebody and you would get all of that time back. And one of the last ladders or rungs on the ladder that founders typically replace is sales. And what's cool, so my thought around building these AI first businesses is if you can build AI systems and AI agents, you can build a beautiful 7-figure business with just doing two things, which is selling, and that looks like creating content and having sales conversations, and then serving, which looks like delivering and handling the relationships and experience of all of your clients. And everything else can be done by AI, which for a lot of coaches and consultants and experts and service professionals, it's like, that's ultimately the kind of business that they wanted to run in the first place. That's like the illusion of what they thought it was when they started, which is like, oh, I'm really good at this. I could just build this business. And then all of a sudden they're building funnels and have to do all this other stuff just to make the money. And so this is an amazing concept, right? And at the end of the day, what you're left with, what doesn't really get outsourced, is your leadership, your ability to see the vision, your ability to interpret the data, your ability to make the decisions. And so now, if you look though, administration can mostly be done with an AI agent, right? Or, just routines and automations inside of your code, Claude Code, app, like the desktop app. For delivery, you can create agents or co-pilots or GPTs. There's a number of different ways that you can create assets to support your clients or customers. And then for marketing, okay, these are more like AI engines. So for example, this YouTube video, I've gotten the system down to a point, and this would be an AI engine because it's multiple skills and it's multiple agents all working together to produce the end result. But when I'm done recording this, I'm just going to put it onto the desktop and say, hey, Susan, my agent, there's another video ready. and it will take the video, it will cut out the bad takes, it will caption the video. There's probably an animation at the start of this video that was all done by AI. It will publish it to YouTube. It will create all of the chapters, hashtags, thumbnail, and it will produce it. I won't have to do any of that. And so that is like an entire system of AI agents. And frankly, I wouldn't be doing YouTube videos. That's why I didn't do YouTube videos in the past, if I didn't have that engine that made it easy, where I can just show up and do this, right? And so that becomes another, and as I've done that, now I have a whole bunch of more free time to do what? To just create content to sell and to serve my clients, right? And then up at the top for sales, there's lots of cool things that you can do. For follow-up, I'll give you one that's like amazing, is you take every sales call that you do and you bring it back into a Claude agent or AI, and it will pull out all of the keywords, all of the problems, all of the beliefs, and those sales calls become all of your marketing content. And it just becomes this loop where your messaging gets tighter and tighter and tighter because you're using the actual words of ideal clients and prospects. Okay, and so when you're building with AI, you're actually able to replace a lot of these different roles simply with AI tools and AI agents. And it costs a lot less. Okay, idea number 3 is the camcorder method, which is what Dan talked about, how to replace yourself. And he would say, okay, look, so number 1, when you're doing any kind of task, you just hit record. Okay, and then number 2 is you demo, you just talk about what it is you are doing. Okay. And then number 3 is you create a step-by-step playbook. You're like, I did this, I did this, I did this. Then you turn it into a document, send the file, right? Send the transcript, turn it into a document step-by-step, and then you would give that to your employee. And then you would do it once, then you would watch your employee do it once, and then they would do it without you, and you would just make sure that the output was correct. But now, instead of that, you can just create a prompt, or you can create an agent, and the agent doesn't miss. Well, if they do, it's pretty easy to fix. But so the idea is still the same. Like the camcorder method is still the same. If there's a skill that I want to give to my AI agents, all I do is I record myself doing it once, and I record a loom, and then I send that, and there's a skill for making skills. I said, turn this into a skill, and then it does. And then anytime I want to do that again, it knows exactly what to do. It knows how to do it, and it does it perfectly. And so the process is still the same for creating systems and creating SOPs that give you your time back. The only difference is now you can turn those into skills, and you give those skills to AI, and you let AI do it. All right, so that is idea number 3. Big idea number 4 I wanted to bring up because it talks about the drip matrix, which is basically looking at all of the tasks that you do in your business and looking at what is the value of them, like how much money does it generate, and then also like what's your energy level about that particular task. And then depending on how much money and how much energy it gives you or drains you, you might do one of these 4 things with it. And so if the dollar value is high, or the energy level is low, or it drains you, or it energizes you, obviously what we want to do is we want to spend most of our time in here, in the production zone. This is like the zone of genius. And this is the whole point of building your business by design. Is like there are things that need to get done, but it doesn't mean you have to do them all. And now more than ever, that's just very true. And so the idea of building a lifestyle business is that you get to build one where you're spending most of your time in your zone of genius. And so what Dan Martell talks about is the drip, which stands for you look at it. If it's a low value and it drains you, get rid of it. Like delegate that. Now, this used to be to a person, but now we can look at how can I get AI to do this so I don't have to do this again. Okay, now if it's high value, it generates good money, but it drains you, then you might look at replacing that task. And that might require a human or an AI-powered human. Okay, maybe marketing, sales, ops. You might not want to leave everything to AI for those high value tasks. Okay, then the next thing is, does it energize you, but maybe has low money making, right? So for example, investing, you got to learn, you got to grow. It might not be immediate return on capital, but you're investing in your life, you're investing in learning, and maybe you're investing in AI. And this is a big thing right now that I see with a lot of already successful coaches, consultants. The unfortunate thing is there's the good ones are so busy delivering to their clients that they don't have enough time to actually fully learn AI, implement AI. And while they're busy serving people, the whole market is shifting underneath them. And so, really giving yourself the time to invest is really key, because it's what's going to allow you to build a business where you're stuck. I mean, you are living in your zone of genius. And this is the whole idea. So this is just a little adaptation to the drip matrix. And what you can do is you can look at your calendar and you can just look through all of them and give yourself like an energy score. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, does this task energize you or does it drain you? And then based on that, you can look at, is there something that can I get AI to do this? Can I have a human and AI tackle this for me? And what do I actually love to do and I'm good at and drives the most revenue for the business? How do I do more of that? All right. And idea number 5 is the buyback loop. And this is maybe like the core idea of Dan's book. And it is basically looking at, in your business right now, there is a pain, there is a constraint, there is some reason that it's not growing, you don't like it. And in order to figure out like the process for this is he'll have you do an audit where I did this, I've done this twice now, but for 1 week, all you do is you put a little notepad and every 15 minutes you track, what did you do for the last 15 minutes? Now I got a little cheat code and it's inside of our Claude for Coaches community. And it's basically a skill and a script that you can ask Claude Code to monitor your computers. And every 15 minutes, it will give you a review of what tabs were open, where did you go, what did you do? And you like, what was for me is like flipping between so many tabs and very little like focused deep work. But the point is like, just look at everything that you're doing. Give yourself an audit. Look at what are the tasks you're doing? What is actually making money? What do you need to get rid of? What can you outsource? And you go so you audit and then you transfer. So you get your time back by either replacing, delegating, building systems. But then you end up with this part, which is what are you then going to fill your time with? And AI is cool. AI is going to give you a ton of time, right? We get to build back our time by building with AI, but then you have to ask the question, so then what? What am I going to fill my time with? And hopefully it's more of these things here. All right. And so that is the buyback loop. And these are the 5 big ideas. If I just do a little recap, we've got the buyback loop, we've got the drip matrix, we have the camcorder method. Again, all of these are still the same. Like the principles are all still there. It's just what's the AI adaptation. The replacement ladder, which is incredibly like a lot more effective and affordable. And then, basically we're able to buy back for a $200 a month subscription. And I'm shooting these videos to document my process in the middle of the process while I'm building a 7-figure AI first business. And as a result, to date, I have 15 agents who can do numerous tasks for me, numerous multitasks for me. And I am more and more putting myself into that zone of genius where I just get to sell and serve. And there's one other idea from Dan Martell that I just thought of here. So bonus idea. And I think it's more so like a leadership idea. And it's about basically, if there was something that needs to get done, Dan's role would be like to have the vision, and it's like spending 10% of the time just like is getting clear on what is it that I want to create? What does it look like? You know, what are the things I need to think about? Then there's like the building or the building or doing. And this is 80%, and that is done by somebody else. And then there is like finalize and like looking it over and making sure that it's all good. And that was done by Dan. And this is like the 80-20 of how to get shit done. And so this is, you know, for a video like this, I have a vision and an idea of what I want to do. I shoot it. All of that stuff in the middle will get edited as soon as I'm done here. And then I'll review it, make a couple tweaks, and say good to go. Right? And how can I apply that same idea to every task? All right. And so if you want this document, you know, just comment build underneath here and I will send it to you. If you want to follow along the journey as I build this business in real time, subscribe to the channel. You can join our free community, Lifestyle Founders Group. Link is in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the